Hello, everyone. This is GK Shaman, and I'm here with the amazing Aizamk.
Hello,
Aizamk, say
hello.
hello.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Awesome. This
Glad
is
to be on the show. First time
yes.
doing.
This is Pro2Casual. It's essentially where a pro like you, Aizamk, talks to a casual player like me, GK, and we talk about a Civ in great length. It is going to be a long video, but don't worry, we'll have timestamps for everything, so you'll be able to skip to what you want to hear. So today we're purely going to talk about America. America's new DLC Civ that was released about a few months ago. It cost $5, or you could do the US challenges. It has a variety of interesting cards, plenty for us to talk about, and it has some very unique cards. In fact, some new dynamics to the game. So it's a very action-packed Civ, and we're really happy to have Aizamk here with us. Just for reference, Aizamk has consistently been a top 10, top 20 player. In our hearts, he's top 5. And we know from experience that he has fearlessly on stream played America over and over and over. Aizamk, do you want to talk to us a little bit about your experience with America, why you chose to consistently play that Civ?
Well, I mean, every time a new Civ comes out, there's this whole conception of whether it's OP, whether it's broken, whether it's super weak. And when the USA came out, I think everyone agreed that it was weak.
Yeah,
And I like playing weak Civs because it's a bit of a challenge. There's no fun playing the same old semi-FF bot builds all the time. And I'm not part of the same FF gang or anything like that. But
yeah,
when the
no,
music came out, there was just so much to be figured out, and all sorts of things to be explored. So I really had fun with them. I'm still having fun with them, and did come up with quite a few interesting strategies along the way. So I'm still developing a few at the moment. We'll see how
so,
those turn out. Yeah.
sounds good. All right, so one thing for sure is and I want to share my screen just to show the viewers and to confirm what we just talked about. You have fearlessly played USA on Twitch, multiple streams. As you can see, it's called I'll Do It, Lumberjack, Lumberjack, Miner. And
That's
so
right. That's
you've
right.
played it for months, like easily at least 2 months.
I
And
don't think the Civ's only been out for a month, so month and a
yeah,
half,
yeah.
right?
Fair, month and a half. But as much as you could have in multiple situations against multiple matchups. So you are definitely the perfect pro for our Pro2Casual. So let's jump into some of the things we want to talk about because there are a lot. I will now share the game so we can start talking about the different cards for USA. All right, so do you see this?
I do.
Awesome. All right. And you might be getting some background noise. I will turn that off in a bit. But let's talk about some of these. So essentially, with this, you have all the cards for America. And I wanted to ask you, first of all, let's cover the immigrant cards:
All
Chinese,
right.
Irish, French, Spanish, German, and Dutch. Capitalism's a possible start. And before we get into it, actually, so we can hear you properly, I'm gonna go to sound and turn down all this. There we go. Okay. Um, back. Multiplayer. All right. Oh, wait. Skirmish. Okay, so talk to me. What do you think about the immigrant cards? How often do you use them?
Well, obviously, first card is definitely going to be some sort of immigrant card. I think when the US first came out, people were experimenting with doing stuff like sending, what's it called, capitalism at first. That quickly died out. Then people started transitioning to the three croix de bois, the French immigrants card, because that's as close as to a regular start as you can get. There's of course the option to send the two to the Irish immigrants first, but that's kind of slow and also prevents you from sending it later on in the game where you can get maybe I don't know 15 villagers, 20 villagers, maybe not 20, but quite a few villagers in prolonged games. But French immigrant is probably the best starting card in most situations, simply because it's also like a semi-pioneers card, right? Because once you send French immigrants, you're also quite free to do whatever you want in, in FF, whatever, because of how your vills have range resist, and we all know how difficult it is to push into a French town center with French villagers just shooting at you, right? So definitely the best
Yeah.
card to start off with. But the other the other cards, the other immigrant cards, do see their use at times. Spanish immigrants is useful for that kind of like super fast, not super fast rush, but super fast anti rush, because I don't think it's very. It's so good in a rush situation, but it's really good in a rush defensive situation. Simply because you can just pop them from the town center and just start sieging the barracks straight away after you age up, that sort of thing, or from an outpost wagon, whichever one works. Um, Chinese immigrants, that one I've started. So when the game first came, well, when the US Civs first came out, Chinese immigrants didn't see that much play simply because of the bug, the trading
PP
post.
bug was
Yeah, the
so
PP bug is
frustrating.
very annoying.
Yeah.
They fixed it to some extent now, which has made the Chinese immigrants card a bit more viable. And
Yep.
the nice thing about this card is that compared to Minutemen and all those other things, you get these trading posts for free. So you don't really need an eco to spamming these. Um, German immigrants, honestly, have not seen that much use. I did try a few strategies where initially you'd basically just spam a lot of mills using land grab with this card. Right, so send land grab together German immigrants. I think there's some other variants where you send like cards just give you two homestead wagons or
Yeah.
something like that.
This is my German immigrant based deck.
Yeah,
Basically, I send the 7 sheep and make a mill out of that, and then I'll send this and I'll send the Delaware age up. That gives you 2 wagons and like 7 cows or 6 cows. And that's the
uh,
only way I can get 5 settler wagons out. But obviously building 5 mills with those and just having a bunch of livestock, it's not really an aggressive or a defensive play.
yeah. Lately, my stance on this card has shifted more to a late game, either prolonged commerce age or prolonged fortress age situation.
Yeah.
That's when you actually start building mills. So I don't think this is the sort of thing which you want to use for manor booming. Essentially building buildings just to spam out settlers or settler wagons in this case. It's more something like once you already have those mills up, then send this card and you got 10 extra villagers.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And it's if I read it correctly, each existing and newly constructed. So even if you're deep in the industrial age, oh, and you can recruit in industrial. So if you get
That's right.
raided, even. So essentially, once your mills are already built, you can still send German immigrants, and it will still give
Yeah,
you
that's right. It could be
a good
either the
amount.
second age or third age. Um, if you're stuck in a prolonged age two situation, then you have all sorts of cards which you can send as a USA. You got Irish immigrants, you got German immigrants, you got a few of those special state age cards.
Yeah.
Delaware has one of those, stuff like that.
So let me ask you about some of the more unique cards. So the immigrants we kind of covered. Spain gives some pikemen 6 now, not 5, which is
That's
nice.
right. Yeah,
And they don't lose hit points, so they give you some early siege and some early power. Chinese just give you tons and tons of trading posts, but over time, not all at once. But the curious thing about Chinese is instead of aging with CDB, you can build a TP, then send Chinese, and then get 2 more TPs.
that's
So you
right.
can, by the
Three
2 minute
TPs.
part, you can have 3 TPs up,
Yeah.
which is what do you, if you did that, what do you like to do with all that XP? Like, do you like to send the bank or other immigrants, or do you think that's better to, go into like a more standard deck and start sending 700 wood, 700 gold, or units?
I've been experimenting with this quite a bit lately. Sending Chinese immigrants first on a map which has at least 4 TPs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's a 3 TP map, then you probably at most only be able to take 2.
Mm-hmm.
But on a 4 TP map, even if your opponent takes 1 TP, then you're likely to be able to take the other 3. Because you're building your TP first, and as soon as your TP gets built, you can kind of levy 1 and then use the wagon from your shipment point
You're
to
you're thinking mainly of like Central Plains, right? So because you
Central
can
Plains or Dakota, stuff like that.
Dakota.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you
yeah,
can send your guy out all the way to grab this TP if you're red, or if you're
sure.
blue, go to this one, and then you can call Chinese immigrants and grab these two.
Yeah,
Because it
and
spawns one from the TC and one from your trade post
yeah.
itself.
And if you're lucky, then and your opponent doesn't grab TPs of their own, then once you've aged up, you can levy another TP and get 4 TPs. Because
Yeah,
the recharge, because you levy so early, your recharge kind of finishes recharging by the time you've aged up, maybe like 5 seconds after you've aged up. So you
yeah,
get really early stagecoach with 4 TPs or something like that.
totally agree with that.
But uh, success has been varied with that strat, I'll admit.
Yeah, because it requires map control. Any strat that involves stagecoach control is tough, or just TP line control. Um, because
It's a
some
work in
civs
progress.
are
Yeah.
really good at contesting that, and other civs completely ignore it. So
Right.
it depends. Capitalism was buffed to 1.65 gold, considering a settler gathers, I think, zero point 0.6 gold a second, and then that can be upped to about 0.8 a second. This is anywhere from two guaranteed vills to almost 3 vills on gold early.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
about
still think
2.5.
capitalism is not viable?
I've been sending it in conjunction with the Chinese immigrants card. So you send
Oh,
Chinese
okay.
immigrants first, and then
Yeah,
you send because there's no other real card which you want to send in age one, right?
yeah,
Because you're gonna get a big XP trickle. You can send probably 3 age one cards in total before you age up. So
yeah.
lately, I've been trying either Chinese immigrants, capitalism, and then Irish immigrants. You time it at 4 minutes 20 seconds, or else Chinese immigrants, capitalism, and then Spanish immigrants for the kind of anti rush sort of strat.
Okay,
Um,
I could see that.
yeah,
Um,
so
what do you
capitalism is
think?
kind of an in between card.
Yeah, what do you think of the? Let me ask you. So we've covered all the immigrants here. We're talking about alternative openings now. So the
Right,
obvious opening that was very popular at the start of the game was French immigrants into the
still
Dutch
is.
bank,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and then just do stuff. Um,
correct.
so that's still, would you say, a meta play? That's still a FF play, or that's still just a
I
commerce
think
age
it's
play?
fallen out of favor for FF play because it
What's
is
the FF build then?
the FF build would be just to send French immigrants and save your card for age 2,
Just the good
uh,
old like 700 or
700
gold,
coins
then
straight
700
away.
wood.
And no, before you send 700 wood, you always want age with the not politician but state, which gives you the capital, right? I'm not sure what it's
Oh, that's
called.
right. Virginia.
Because that
Okay.
gives you, yeah, because what that gives you the XP and it also gives you the ability to research the tech, which makes your age up faster, right? So you can actually send your
Yes.
700 wood straight after you've sent the capital. Whereas if you send your 700 wood first, you're kind of waiting on your next shipment.
Yeah, yeah. I meant 700 wood third card essentially, but
Yeah,
it's gonna be that, that, and that. Is the
that's right.
FF kind of play? The original play used to be that Dutch bank,
And
and
age
then
two
do some
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, and age two. Okay. Um, in terms of, I actually wanted to ask you more specifically about Washington lumber mills, because
Right.
there was some talk about skip 700 wood, send Washington lumber mills. You're
Don't
going
do
to be
that.
chopping anyway, and you could get the market up. Do you think that's too slow? Do you think that's, yeah,
I
just
think that's too slow. It doesn't give you enough, it doesn't give you enough momentum. But the USA is already a slow sieve, enough of a
okay?
slow sieve as it is. What you could do, and what I've been trying, is switching out 600 wood for this card. because then the gap, the opportunity cost is like
Alas, I
200 compared to
see.
300, right?
I
So
see.
in that case, you could see 400, Washington lumber mills being used over 600 wood, but definitely not over 700 wood, I'd say.
Okay, okay, that's actually really helpful. Thank you. Um, Now, the other quick questions I want to ask you. So, I don't play standard decks. So, this
Mhm.
is where I'm really glad I'm doing this with you. I actually play two really niche strats that I love.
Right.
Let me ask you about them, but then what we're going to do for the video is we're going to build a deck together, which is basically going to be one of your standard decks. So, this is a huge part of the video. The fans really love it. It's when you help me build a deck. But before
Okay.
we get to that, let me tell you about two of these openings, and I kind of want to see your thoughts on them, basically.
Right.
Essentially, it's a start of capitalism first, build a trade post, then go into advanced saloon. And by that time, you have enough gold for Dutch immigrants, slash, you mine maybe like 100 gold. And then you
Okay.
go into some, the 3 TP card, which I'm sure Starry Clover and others mentioned to you is it's a good saloon start. So then you can make a bunch of cowboys because they give you 75 pop each or together because of advanced saloon. And then you're able to just send dance hall afterwards and mass a ton of outlaws
Wait,
to
advanced saloon doesn't affect trading post, does it?
advanced saloon.
Does not.
No, it's just for saloons. But
I see.
military wagons can construct them, and it
Mhm.
increases the pop limit and lets you build two more.
Yeah, I was just wondering how the three trading post card fit into this build.
Oh, because they build the saloons. That's the curious thing about the
Right.
USA. Arkansas Post gives you 3 TP wagons, but they can build saloons, markets, or meeting houses.
Understood. Okay. Okay.
So essentially, this over 700 wood. I mean, you could argue just do 700 wood and hand build the saloons, but you save some bill seconds.
Which
You
makes
can
me
pop them.
curious if this actually affects the trading post rickshaws. Probably doesn't.
It does not. It does not. I
Ah,
tried. Because that would have been nice. But there is another version of this where you send Chinese immigrants first instead of
yep.
capitalism, and you just take over the TP line, and then you don't need this as much, or you can still send this to get the saloons, and you can take stagecoach and you can go wild. But what's your thoughts on any outlaw play in the American build order?
Yeah. I did briefly try outlaw play a while ago, maybe like 4 weeks ago or something like that. More towards the early portion of when the USA Civ first came out. Wasn't too impressed by their new reskinned, ranged infantry outlaws. Cowboy is probably the best, but you need to be kind of, I don't know, they're situationally good, I'd say, because they have that charged attack,
Yeah,
which does pretty good damage to musketeers and crossbowmen and the like. But I don't think you can really mass enough cowboys to make this worth it. I don't know. I haven't tested too much in recent times, but with a buff capitalism, maybe it work.
yeah,
Um,
I've noticed, and we can show a piece of a game in a little bit. I've
right.
noticed that you really need to mix and really need to adapt. But that might just be, this game in general. But you need to make Hussar if you need to, or make State Militia if you need to. You need to switch often. You can't just stick to only outlaws and only making one type of outlaws, because,
But that's the thing, right?
yeah,
Because if you commit this much to an outlaw
outlaws.
build, you have to
Yeah.
build outlaws.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and you can do that because you have a pretty free eco too. Like you have capitalism, you have a Dutch bank, you send the Pennsylvania age up, you get the bank trickle. You have essentially two banks with Tulip upgraded for free. Like, I mean, obviously your opponent can come and destroy the one bank you have, but your capitalism and your trickle stay with you forever. So essentially, you have a ton of free coin, but not enough to like get a ton of troops for free, but you have the pop space to do it with advanced saloon. So it does have some synergy, but you are committing 1 2 3 cards to a whole strategy. You could argue
Right.
four, because normally you'd make the CDBs and not the trade post you built. So it is pretty all in a way. Um, all right, so let's move on to the other parts. We talked about the immigrant cards. We should talk about the Merc shipments now. That's very big with USA. They don't get all the traditional units, but they can get some of those units by recruiting them through their nation allies.
Right.
Um, this is not truly a Merc shipment, and I call it Merc, but they're not Merc because they don't cost coin. They actually all cost wood, food wood, food wood, food wood. But what do you think of the H2 food wood card, Lee's Legion?
So this is something again which I tested out recently. So lately I've had a spate of maybe 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, where I was doing nothing but FF builds because they're just superior in most cases.
Hmm.
Lately I've tried testing some H2 builds, and the one thing I did find is that you really have a need for anti-cab as a USA when you're playing H2 builds. You could, of course, do the Spanish pikemen, living them every 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it is,
Hmm.
but that's just too slow.
Hmm.
Um, but that's not to say that this card is good. It feels a niche, but I feel like it's way too expensive for it to be of any use. And plus, the carbine cavalry are just really, really weak at the moment.
Yes, completely agree with both of those points. 1,000 resources is insane just to get 9 units.
You might as well just age up, honestly.
Yeah,
700, 700 coin age up.
yeah, and also just yeah, Carbine Cavalry is pretty bad. Um, let's talk about some of the others then. So Armand's Legion, it gives you 10 dragoons. I don't know what the stats are of those dragoons, so maybe we should start actually launching up a game.
Yeah, they're
But
pretty much regular dragoons, but with 10% extra HP and attack.
okay,
Um, so they're like consulate dragoons. And the nice thing about these mercenary shipments is that they all, like,
Shadow Tech, right?
strictly, yeah, they all shadow tech with
Okay,
age.
okay, good. So you generally like Armand's Legions? Like you do send this?
Most of the time, I would prefer the Ulan pop instead.
Got it.
Yep, because that,
Pulaski's Legion.
yeah, it's like a good cav unit to have around. The US don't particularly have any. Hussars are okay, but really the only upgrade you can get on them is from the advanced arsenal, which gives you that 10% HP. Other than that, they're pretty standard. Nothing too special about them. But sending this card, it's a big power spike, and I think it's well worth the 500 food, 500 coin, 500 wood. Sorry, 500 food, 500 wood.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. No,
when it
this.
pops out and there's circle C's in your TC, and you know how I love my unit pops.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Um, definitely don't get under drop points with Azamp. But essentially, I do agree with Pulaski's because it also makes sense, right? 12 units for 1,000 resources versus 9 units for 1,000, or this is 10 for 10.
10 is
But
10's okay, I think.
this is okay. This
That's
definitely needs
okay.
to be like 300
That
food,
that's
300 wood, or something.
terrible. Maybe 250, 250.
Yeah, yeah. Just something worth it because the unit actually is terrible, doesn't shadow tech, and you get less units per 100 res. So
Yeah, Shadow Text to 3, but not to 4. I mean, mostly
yeah.
not.
Oh yeah, yeah. True, true. It does shadow tech 3. Um. All right, and then the last two. So this is the very, very meme famous one. This
Yeah.
does deliver less than its 100 res, but it's definitely worth it. The 9 hussar you get. Talk to me about cobots.
Well, as Merc shipment takes 60 seconds to send, right? So
Hmm.
it's gonna be a slow. I'm not even sure if 60 seconds or even more. I expect it might even be more because just how powerful these are. But let's assume it's 60 seconds. But it takes a while to send, and think about how you've already aged up to the fourth age, right? So usually when you do some sort of FI strat, you want to have some sort of immediate value, right?
Hmm.
Now this thing isn't quite the sort of revolution. How autos in back
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
they used to have this sort of thing, which is pretty much the same thing, right? You have 10 death hussars, which just wreck everything.
But all your
Um,
active hussars don't become imp hussars anymore, right?
uh, I don't know how
Fuck.
it is right now on.
I just know that it's not as insane as it once was,
Yeah,
because that used to be game ending off the bat.
that's right. But
But
yeah, either.
just to be clear, with the USA, one of their limitations is the lack of traditional cards. So essentially, you don't get like 13 or 18 or 12 Hus, whatever normal civs would get. In fact, most of the free unit shipments are all just like skirm units with 10 carbine cavalry. Once again, I don't understand why it's 10 in H4, but
Yeah.
where it's 9
You
in
think about how the
H2.
Dutch get 17 Reuters.
Yeah, yeah. The Dutch get more Reuters. Even in Fortress, there is no carbine cavalry shipment. Like it makes me feel like they forgot about the carbine cavalry as
I
they
think
were making
they
this.
just made the unit. They said this looks cool, but we don't want anyone to send it. We want everyone to use the other Merc cards,
Even Apache Scouts 8 cavalry for 500 res is
and they
more
can
value.
stealth. They can
Yeah.
stealth.
Have
Like
you
there's
Oh, and this is something worth saying. I should actually make a separate just for the native related cards because there are a couple that pop up. I did try some native builds early on, but I did not find them to be too powerful. But I do want to hear your thoughts on them because we'll jump to that in a sec. But
okay.
essentially, um, Pulaski's is good. Armand's is all right. You'd
Yep.
say. Um, Kovats is amazing. I've hands down won some games with Kovats. Like once that pops and it does damage, it's over. But what's your thoughts on it? It's a game ender.
It's a very good late game card, I'd
Okay,
say.
okay. Have you ever tried to go to send Kovats Legion and lost the game, like FIing and waiting for that shipment while your opponent burned down everything? Like it didn't work out.
Not really, because I'd usually pair this with some sort of marine build, which means I have several shipment points at my disposal.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. So you have multiple towers up or something like that. Got it.
Multiple
Okay,
TCs, yeah.
multiple TCs. Okay. Um, And then lastly, it's the Grenadier Washington's Legion. It gives you for 2,000 res, same as Kovat's cost. You end up getting 16 Grenadiers with grenade launchers, and they can be trained at forts. They have the incendiary grenades upgrade as well. So one of the biggest themes with USA, it seems, is it's not your traditional bot civ where you like get all these upgrades and send all these special cards. You kind of get the units with all those upgrades, but they can only be recruited at forts. They have, limitations, train times. It's like kind of balanced, but kind of random. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, interesting mechanic. I mean, I think they kind of tried this though with the Swedes, where they you know how they didn't used to be able to train crossbowmen from barracks, right? It
Hmm.
was more like their only real H2 unit was a Carolean,
Yeah.
and everything else was a kind of mercenary shipment. I think the way they've applied this sort of concept to the US is a lot better. We have the immigrant cards as well as these unique mercenary shipments. Well, they're fun. They're fun. Um, maybe a bit overpowered sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, I've heard on, Twitch chat and just from players, people call the US gimmicky. Like they essentially say that it's not a standard sieve, obviously, and it's very much reliant upon shipments and very powerful, maybe unbalanced, but the fact that they're so weak, they're somehow balanced with their shipments. What do you think of that?
Well, they're definitely a gimmicky civ in that you can't scout them so easily, I think, because it just has so many
Ah,
options available to them.
okay.
Like, so, for example, even okay, when you start off as the United States and you're chopping, say, an extra 200 wood, there's still two options you can have as your first card, right? You can either send 3 CDB or you can send the Chinese immigrants, what we discussed earlier.
Hmm.
So it's kind of flexible. Um, okay, so I will admit it is gimmicky because players do not know how the Civ inside out. Because for one thing, you don't have the Civ available to everyone. Some
Yeah.
people may call it, some may have done the 50 challenges. Um,
Yeah, but that would
so
have taken a month, so there's a bit
yeah,
of a delay. Yeah.
so people would have learned the USC mainly through watching streams or through watching recorded games with opponents playing as the USA.
Hmm.
And when you watch streams, it can be kind of one-sided because the people who have streamed the US are generally maybe one of the higher rated players, right? So it's hard to tell whether they're winning because the Civ has this OP gimmick or whether they're winning because they're just simply playing better than their opponent, right? Um,
Yes, yes, I completely agree with that.
and at some point in time, I think most players at a high level have given up on using the USA for the most part. But I think those who have played the USA and gone to maybe like level 80 plus home city with them know the Civ better than most and will sometimes use it from time to time. It's not like if someone were to request it during a stream, it's not like they would say no, right?
Yeah,
Because
no,
there are some fun builds with them.
that's
Um,
very true. So let me
I mean,
let me
also consider
yeah.
how like a lot of people have been playing this game for maybe over 10 years, right? They're too used to the old civs. They've known the old civs inside out because they've been playing those civs and playing against those civs for such a long time. But the US came out, all these new things. I mean, you've got the Incas and the Swedes as well. Those are kind of a different ballgame altogether because they were overpowered when they came out, or rather
Yeah.
they're still kind of gimmicky plus very difficult to deal with. But the US, I think, it's still maintaining its reputation of not so good, but gimmicky all nonetheless.
No, you're completely
It's
right.
like
I never thought
acceptable to
about it.
use them.
I
Yeah,
never
it's
thought about
acceptable
it
to use
like
them. It's
that.
not like a social. It's not like people look down on you. You're laming the U.S. or anything.
It's
People
very
look down.
hard
Yeah,
to lame the US. It takes a
it
lot of
is.
skill.
Yeah,
So, it's definitely not top tier. In fact, in all of our tournaments, unless it's a forced US mirror by AGC TV, we don't see the US picked. Like we
right.
don't see someone pick France and another person's like, "Oh, I'm going to go US to counter France." you know? It's just not normal. So it's definitely not top tier. Um the next part I actually want to quickly talk to you about are the native upgrades. And I actually, by card type, I don't know if they put all the native cards together. I also realized that when I go into the by card types for the US, if we go into, say, manufacturing plant or harbor, this is like a really confusing setup because the harbor has all your Vil shipments and your Legion cards and your native cards and your Mercs. So it's like it's a very wide harbor
Yeah,
that it makes sense, that's where they come in. But
immigrants came from there.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it's just so diverse here because normally with harbor you see ship cards, ship upgrades, like rendering plant, and then you just see like 6 Merc cards, and that's it. But they throw in natives too. Um, so let me talk about purely the natives. So the native cards that caught my eye when I first started playing the US is they had a couple of shipments. They had let me try to see if oh, it's not, probably not here. It's probably in one of these. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no, actually, yeah,
military
manufacturing,
academy.
military academy, maybe, yeah. Oh, and then yeah, native treaties and military academy. Oh yeah, they had the sharpshooter upgrade.
That's right.
Michigan First Volunteers. Nothing else here. Nope. Nope. Oh, and interestingly, Continental Rangers affects Cree trackers, which was kind of cool because one of the Egypts allowed you to train Cree trackers. Pennsylvania does. So, all right. So let me get all this, and then there's one other. Yeah, I guess 3 TP wagons or Chinese immigrants. Oh, these
There's
two. There we go.
those two. Yeah,
They have blood brothers as well. And then to pair this off, you'd probably want Chinese immigrants as well. Okay. So with the natives part of the USA, they have a pretty slim native offering. They do have Blood Brothers. They don't have Native Warrior Attack or, the H2 upgrade, which really pissed me off because I'm like, you have such synergy with Seminoles, Apaches. You can get first, which gives you Champion Cree. You can get a ton of Navajo, Champion Navajos. You can do Indian Friendship for it's 1,000 res, but you get essentially a buffed native treaties. Um, but it really confuses me, I guess, as to a have you tried natives with the USA? Did you just see that it's missing a lot of key cards, or what was your thoughts on them?
Honestly, the most I've ever done with natives is sending the Seminole card. And the reason why that caught my eye was because they could stealth. Um, I love stealth.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
you send them and have people circle siege your TC or whatever, and you can pop out basically two batches of them because one batch of them is stealthed in front of your TC. The other batch pops out from your TC directly. Um, it it's a fun mechanic. It does help give you a sort of military boost when you need it. But it is also kind of limited because I don't think they're because with all sorts of mercenary shipments, um,
You can't mass them. You can't upgrade
yeah,
them.
you can't really mask
Yeah.
them. The one good thing it does have going for it is that it's cost 250 food, 250 wood, right? So that's
Yeah.
actually affordable as compared to say someone saving up 500 coin
Yeah. Or saving up
or
for this, the
for
Lee's
that.
Legion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that don't send that card. Yeah,
Um, Apache Scouts, I really was surprised at how well priced this was, and the actual unit is actually not that bad, and it can also go stealth.
that's
But
right.
I don't see this in any of your kind of meta plays. Has it fallen out
No.
of favor?
I did used to use Apache on Legacy back when you could actually research the tech, which gave
Yeah,
them, say, multiply against villagers. I think these don't actually come with that tech auto researched.
they don't.
Uh, yeah, so they're pretty much just sending like just you're paying 500 resources for 8 dragoons, so an extra three
Yeah.
dragoons, but um, they're okay, but. I'd probably prefer Armin's Legion instead of the Ten Dragoons card.
What I thought that could be really nice is that maybe if you recruited Seminoles early in the game, you recruited Apache, you even did the first, Michigan Volunteers, you recruited Navajo, and then you sent Indian Friendship, and it gave you shipments of all of these and the ones you're allied to. That would be
Right,
amazing synergy and balanced because it's an H4 card costing 1,000 res. But
right,
that doesn't work because even though it says that when you ship these, tells you Apache Warrior Society set to active. It's another thing to be allied. So yeah, that's a different, I guess,
right.
unlock.
So it doesn't actually give you
It doesn't give you these. It
that
just
percent.
gives you, whatever you have on the map. And if you went Pennsylvania, it gives you Creed.
Right,
But yeah, no, it's quite annoying. I was very disappointed in the game when I tried this. But I will say, other than that, with Chinese immigrants maybe sending this and also, sending native treaties, you do get kind of like a little power pop at like the 7 minute, 6 minute mark. Because you get all three and then you can just ship it and push. Maybe make five regulars or, five state militia and just see what happens. But it's definitely not a long term viable plan. Because you don't
right,
get
yeah,
a lot of the traditional cards that you have with it. All right. So that covers that. Mercs were pretty well covered with the Wild West stuff. Obviously, it's important to mention the three Merc cards. Poker gives you 13 random Mercs for 3,500 res. So this is fun but silly. It had a bug. Um, and then we get into Reno Gang, which gives you 7 random Outlaws, and then Scottish Highlanders. Any thoughts on these three? You never really thought about them, or you did?
I never really tried them, but they do sound kind of silly because You either get 7 really good units or 7 really bad units, and you've lost the
Yep.
game. Um, Too much chance involved at a high level. I don't think you can really afford to do this.
Yeah. And then they have some unique cards. Like for 1,000 wood, you can get a coal mine and 5 gunslingers who can gather from the coal mine,
Right.
which
I don't
wouldn't
know
have
what their gather rate is like. Do you know?
coal mines you can gather double from, but I don't know if the gunslingers gather double from it, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Um, but in Age 4, stacking 1,000 wood would be insane. I mean, you'd want to use that on upgrades or TCs or
I
just.
think most people stack a lot of wood in Age 4.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
okay, so it's not as crazy. All right,
yeah.
but still, just 5 units that aren't super strong.
Right. Yeah.
Um, let's get into water now because with America, water is a really interesting part of their gameplay. Have you tried a lot of US water or seen it been played?
I've seen people use U.S. water, but I don't think it's a particularly strong option of theirs. Because you don't really get schooners. You do get the age up, which allows you to send a kind of somewhat, nerfed, I wouldn't say nerfed version of schooners, but a different version of schooners, because it affects both your villagers and boats. That's the age up, which gives you the railroad upgrade free as well. I forgot what it's called. Is the one all the way to the right when you age up. Don't
Yeah, no,
watch it.
we're actually we'll run through a game just in a
Right.
sec. I just want to load up all the water cards here. I don't think there's any more. Let me look at menu. Oh yeah. So they do get rendering plant and fish market. So they get the
Right.
true traditional and whale oil. Okay, okay. So they get the 3 eco upgrades for water. Um but they get exotic hardwoods if you wanted to gather more wood faster. And with Lee's Legion, that would be actually kind of nice. I would almost consider this a water card just because it would be so necessary when you're. Oh, I don't know where it is, but we'll find out soon. Um, have you do you consider US a water civ then, or not really? Kind of.
I'd consider them more of an anti-order sieve. Um, they're probably not a sieve you want to start using to boom on water off the bat. As I said
Okay.
before, they don't actually have schooners, but they have cards which you can basically use to try and take water. And then once you've taken water, then you can send those cards and start exploiting water to the maximum. Because I think there's one card which allows your military, your shooty boats, to actually gather from whales and stuff like that. I think it's one of the state cards, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
yeah, that's right. That's right. They have unique age ups. I do notice
Yeah.
that they have a lot of boat shipments. Not that necessarily you'd send all of them, but you can send a frigate, you can send a streamer. The fact that you could send it looks like 2 ironclads, but it's one ironclad and one steamer is nice. You could send an infinite ironclad, but there's a build limit of this of 2, I think. So you can't just mass them. And you can, have random wood-based merc shipments where you recruit Woku junks or sloops. Um, it has the eco upgrades, right, to make water good, but it doesn't have schooners. But it has an age up that is kind of like schooners.
That's
It
right.
has admiralty, so it has a lot of the stuff, but it doesn't have offshore support.
Yeah. The thing with doing a water boom with any sieve is that you want to be able to boom hard enough before your opponent has units in your base. But with the USA, your schooners card is an H2 card, and sending schooners. Imagine sending schooners as ports after you've aged up. So you've done a 10-10,
Oh, I
but
see.
you've got your dock up, but you're still training 70 wood fishing boats from it, and there's it's just not as streamlined as if you had schooners in age 1, because you have to age up and then you send schooners, right? At that
Okay,
point, why not just send 700 wood and make fishing boats with that?
I see. So it actually, okay, that's really interesting. You're right. I mean, as the Twitch memes go, they always joke about Don Artie's 50 vills by the 6 minute mark. But he does when he does play Port Water. It's pretty, like he makes schooners double docks, ages up, and at the 6 7 minute mark, he's already got 50 village like total villagers. So 30 40 boats and 10 20 vills, and he does
Yep.
that very quickly. And then, you know, the opponent will come in and try to contest, but he's got a pretty massive economy to leverage for troops on the water or land.
Right. So I wouldn't call the USA a strong water boom sieve, but it might have some potential as an anti-water sieve. Now, the
Okay.
reason for that is you have a combination of several factors. So one is you do have that age up where with every Minutemen you have in a boat, it increases the boat stack by 10%. So you
Hmm.
can essentially give every like frigate of yours plus 60% attack, which is quite big when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing is that you can actually spam outpost wagons.
Oh.
Wagons are a big part of contesting water, right?
Hmm.
Because if you're like one of the annoying things sometimes when you're going out and trying to contest water is that you want to build outposts along the shore,
Hmm.
but your settlers they build outposts too slowly, and plus they're an easy target for boats to just attack.
The settlers and kill them.
Right? Whereas the USA, you have several techs at your capital, which for one make your outpost wagons cheaper. They I'm not sure they build faster as well, but there might be that as well. And you also have the tech which gives your buildings more HP.
Hmm.
So you can spam outposts and build them along the shore. And there's not too much that maybe two caravels can do about it. Maybe five caravels and a few frigates could do quite a bit about it. But you know, you have the ingredients to do a good anti-water strat. But I
No,
don't
you're
think
right.
people really experimented with it too much, though.
You're totally
Um,
right about that, actually.
yeah,
Because you get heavy fortifications, you do get frontier defenses, you get a bunch of things to help you with, the outpost spam. And you're right about one of them, which is that it does allow the wagons to construct the building faster. That's also a tech. All of these
right.
obviously cost good amounts, but there's, a roundabout ways to make them cheaper. Like, I think one of the age up options is to give one of the techs in your capital for free. So,
Right. It's not. Yeah, it's you have to. Might be Delaware. I don't know what it's called, but it's the one which gives you the capital
oh, that's Virginia.
wagon. Yeah, Virginia. Yeah. Well,
Um, I remember that because I'm near Virginia, so like
okay.
that's my state. All right, so we have everything here, and so now I kind of want to move on to, I guess, the last parts of our video in terms of going over deck cards. I think we've covered almost every card in the USA, and there's so many. The list kind of keeps going. So, lastly, I just want to cover any last cards as uniques and kind of just throw them down here. Any cards you think that are worth calling out that are very unique to the USA that like really impress you
I
personally?
love the map hack card.
The map app card, yes. Lewis and Clark. Quick question: do you like patriotism, or it's more of a treaty card slash won't really
Um,
see play in
haven't really.
supremacy?
It's only not really played so much in supremacy because you can't really find a way to fit it into your deck, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
H3 is so tight already.
yeah, the USA does have all those age ups which give you an extra 10, right? So up to a maximum of 30 cards in your deck.
Hmm.
But honestly, like with each age up, maybe only one of those cards is really viable, and the second card is just there for show.
Okay.
So
That's
so
true.
you have 20. You're playing Nilla all over again. You have to be really careful with what you put in your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't notice that they had an artillery train card. Upgrades horse artillery to heavy horse guns. It's age 4 card. Horse
Yeah.
artillery and heavy cannons have more hit points and are trained faster. Does this mean that it trains from factories faster, essentially?
Probably does. I
That's kind
think
of
I think
interesting.
the regular engineering school does the same thing. I'm not sure it's 10% or if it's 50% like this.
Got it. And then horse artillery builds faster, and it's also
Yeah.
heavy, so it gives it that. I think it's
Yeah.
only like 500 wood, 500 gold, or it's not a crazy upgrade cost, but or 250, 250. So it's interesting. It's not overpowered by any way. Shotgun messengers is a weird card I haven't even tried out yet, but
Neither have I. I don't know how well it is, but there's a stationary building in very specific places. Can't say anything
yeah,
too useful, and you can't really because it's a charge attack. You can't use it on specific units, right?
yeah,
You might one game you might use it on an elephant, one game you might use it on the strela.
yeah. Um, let me. Oh, and actually, yeah, stonemason only affects villagers. I was thinking that this might affect how wagons build,
Nah.
but not the case. And any other crazy uniques? Let me quickly look. I don't think anything here.
Can you check if land grab affects wagons for outposts and stuff? Probably doesn't. Maybe just
Mm,
mills.
let's look. This is the time to do that. Manufacturing plant.
Uh, yeah,
Where are you,
bottom left.
land grab?
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, it affects wagon cost, but
yeah, so maybe for like mills and stuff like that.
oh, and it
But
reduces build time.
useful when you want to spam mills into your opponent's base after you won the game.
yes. Oh, it does decrease wagon costs too. So that's kind of interesting by 40%. So I see what you're saying. This is good for the Germantown farmers or the German immigrants
Yeah.
playstyle if you wanted to do something a little silly. Um so let's go into this and then we're going to go into something that you'll really enjoy. We'll talk about Marines. Don't worry, A's. We will talk about Marines. So okay, so the map hack card, Team Lewis and Clark, amazing. It gives
Yep.
everyone 100 XP, which is, in some maps 3 passes on a TP, some maps 1 pass on a TP. But good. Like getting everyone a TP pass is pretty nice. Um and it also reveals all your stuff to everyone, which is already revealed, but all your opponent's stuff, all the trade routes, all the res, all the treasures, and all the native settlements.
Yeah, the map pack card, pretty much.
Yeah, and just to be clear, this isn't like using the what's the Japanese wonder? Oh, the Buddha, Great
Yep.
Buddha in Age 2. It's not like that because that only shows what your enemy has seen. This shows you everything. Like it shows you every treasure, every mine, every hunt, every tree technically, because it says resources. And then it also shows you what your opponent has seen. So pretty nice. Um, what do you think of the sheriff card? Have you looked into it? Have you looked into his carbine attack?
I have not, and I think because your general,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think you need to be very selective about how you use him. Okay, so obviously when the game first came out, whenever your explorer died, he gave 100 XP boost to your opponent. If
Yeah,
they were attack, then you basically gave them a free shipment. So
yeah,
not someone you really want to have around on the battlefield tanking. Um, Plus, once he dies, you can't place your flag anymore. So it was hard trying to figure out, whether do you want your general to be in the front fighting, maybe meleeing, in hand combat, or you want him to be a back so he can basically orbital drop the flag somewhere in the battlefield. It gave everyone a 10% attack. So like from the safety of your town center or out there. Um, Now, I guess this comes down to the whole concept of charged attacks, because you can't really choose how you want to use them. They just like go off and then you have to wait. And although I haven't really used this card, the fact that it's a charge attack means I don't really see too much utility. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's perfect. That's a great way to sum it up. Charged attacks may be too random for the higher level of play, but they are super fun if you are playing casually or just with friends, or you're just playing and you want to try it out. The more standard cards I've seen obviously are long rifles and Springfield. It's really important to note with long rifles is it improves militia and Minutemen. And so part of a Marine build needs long rifles. But also, if you're doing anything with MM, it gives them four ranged, like four to their range and to their line of sight. So it makes Minutemen even better, which you will call as America. Um, and Springfield essentially is advanced arsenal for the Civ, but then comes with a 250% wait time. So what I've seen people do is they send Springfield, chop 250 wood, and throw an armory down after Springfield comes in H2, and then start queuing from both. I
It's
actually,
mainly
yeah, sorry, go.
it's mainly a good card because as the United States, you lack a lot of upgrade cards. I think the in H2 that is. In H3 you do have those special cards which upgrade your, you got those two different infantry cards in H3. But in H2 you're not like the Brits where you have, musk attack, max HP, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
That's good to note because civs like Russia or Brits, well, Brits have cards. Russia has, I'm blanking on the name, but it's the H2 card that improves Cossacks, Opries, and Strelets, Boyars,
Yeah.
and then they have the H1 card as well. So there's just a lot of options for other civs, and Russia can send advanced arsenal, but then they have to pay for every upgrade and pay for the arsenal. So I see the synergy they tried to create around the USA, and I actually like it. But I can definitely see what you mean that this game is 15 plus years old, and there are people that have been playing, Nilla France or Nilla Spain or Nilla Germany forever and ever and ever. And now they introduced the US with like 30 different mechanics that
Yeah.
it's confusing. We're going to touch upon these two very quickly, but Quaker guns, they're fake artillery, and you can get 5 rockets for 2,000 res. Have you looked at any of these?
The Rockets card, I've never actually used it, but I think it could be really good in some situations. Maybe like not as an FI strat, but more of a extended H3 into H4 late game card, if you can fit it in. Because as you've spoken before, and talked about before, the USA is starved for space in their deck to put in all these interesting cards. Like you've got so many interesting ways to play the Civ, but you're kind of limited by how much space you have in your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I
And
really do
yeah.
want to try the Quakers in the actual game, but so far I haven't had a chance to use this because if you think about it, once you've okay, maybe not this card, but specifically the age at which lets you train them, because 10 heavy cannons looks pretty scary.
And you don't know what to use with your culves to take them down. And
Exactly. Yeah.
then you can have your own culves taking down the actual artillery. So you're
Yeah.
right, you're right. There could be something here. Um and I mean obviously we know the Gatling gun. The Gatling gun is amazing. It's very good versus infantry, can melt Cassadors, Strelets, all the skirms in the world if they can connect. And
It's
they're
decent
pretty,
anti-cav as well. Yeah.
yeah, and they are great anti-cav if protected. Um, do you have anything else to add to Gatlings?
The 3 Gatling card is super high value. Um, Imagine if you could send 3 organ guns I mean, obviously, um, the Gatling guns are slightly weaker than Portuguese organ guns. I think they have slightly less attack and slightly less range or something like that. But once 3 Gatling guns are out and you protect them really well, there's no way an infantry mass can attack your TC.
Yes. I noticed that the infantry mass of USA is kind of subpar in H2, H3, but once they have Gatlings, they become insane
That's right.
because you have such a strong, easy way to protect your Gatlings. Quickly to talk, Russian American company. This card I always got very confused with because essentially it's like Lakota's Great Hunter, but even better. Like that's 25%. This is 30% to hunting. So this is almost 2 cards worth of hunting upgrades. And on top of that, it's 2 outposts. But these outposts can also build all of your units, all your infantry units, I should say. But then the most interesting part about it is it can upgrade units also. So it can give you the veteran and the guard upgrades for your barracks units. So these are barracks, but outposts.
Yeah,
They're full featured blockhouses, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But
that's right.
this card really impresses me. It is a loss to tempo in the sense of if you're trying to FF into Gatlings and ship some troops and make some troops, pausing to send Russian American company might be weird. But if your opponent is being passive into the 8th and 9th minute mark, sending this card, you'll have such a massive advantage because you'll suddenly take map and build a second TC and have an infantry mass, and you can pop Gatlings from now 4 different places. Just what's your thoughts? Am I overhyping it, or is it?
No, it's a perfectly valid opinion. In fact, in the early stages, maybe I think first first 3 weeks, first 4 weeks when it came out when I was doing the FF builds, this card would always come after 3 Gatlings for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe after either 3 Gatlings or 8 regulars. So 3 Gatlings and then 8 regulars and then the Russian, whatever it's called, company thing.
Yeah.
Um, because they actually buffed the card indirectly at some point. You remember how Russian blockhouses they used to give you five population space per blockhouse.
Oh, that's right. And now
So
they
now when
give
you send this
10.
card, you don't just get all that stuff you talked about earlier. You get 20, uh,
Huh.
you get 200 wood extra because you got 2 houses, right? So you
That is
send this, you
nice.
put them out in the middle of the map, and then you can start training from. You've got the population space to start training from those as well. So
What I
yeah,
find interesting about them is I send long rifles often, and to
mhm.
mention long rifles unlock sharpshooters, which are like the US skirms. And
No, they're not the U.S.
they're
skirms.
not
They're the
that's the
state militia.
they should be the US skirms, but the state militia take that role.
Yeah,
Um, but you could train sharpshooters from these blockhouses. They are your own buildings. And
yeah,
that's what confused me, I guess, in my head. Because for me, in my head, Merc shipments were Merc shipments. Like they're from a different country, they fulfill a very specific purpose, and that's it. But these buildings are your own. Like it's as if you built blockhouses and sent, 2 different hunting upgrades. It's insane. Like a FF into Hamiltonian, or an FF that includes Hamiltonian Economics and Russian American company, you can get easily a plus 50 to plus 60% of hunting upgrades for free just with these 2 cards.
well, they're not
Um,
free because you're sending cards. But yeah,
true,
I get
true,
what
true, true. I guess in-game resource cost, but yeah, you still cost XP. It's just crazy to me. Um, but you're right in the sense of, I mean, it is a loss in tempo though, right? Because if you are FFing into this, you're going to be pressured by like 30 muskets. So you'll need to send 3 Gatlings and the 11 state militia or 8 regulars to help hold.
Yep, agree. It does help you take map control. So after you've cleared the initial push, you can send the 2 blockhouse wagons and take map control of those while supporting your eco. But perhaps the fort wagon is a better match for that,
Yeah, yeah.
especially
It's
when you can place down the flag and goes up in no time at all.
yeah, it's not perfect. but it definitely is interesting, and it helps either fortify a position or it's kind of both. It's an economic card and a but it needs map controls because if you don't have hunts, it's useless.
Right.
Um, and it doesn't increase yield of hunts, unlike the other hunting cards I'm mentioning. So, like Lakota's Great Hunter, or I don't think they have it here, but the Age One card Furrier that Russia might send, it
Right.
won't increase the yield of the animals, so you'll just chew through hunts faster.
Sure. And your units don't really cost food either. So as other civilizations, you have a proper musketeer unit which costs mainly food, right? So 75% of the cost is in food. But as a USA, maybe you have like 55% of the cost is in food, 60% of the cost is in food. So it's not so much of a boost to your eco as you might think. You do have villagers cost food, of course, though.
Yeah, state militia is 100 food, I believe. But
50 food each, yeah.
yeah, but I do see your point overall, because it's not like you're Lakota in the sense of you're having 120 food or 180 food or just crazy amounts of food units. So
Yeah.
those civs, and Russia has the food batch restrictions, so makes more sense for them for sure. So I agree with that. Um, Alaska purchase, just silly card.
Um, Funny card in team games for sure.
Yeah,
Like whenever you move the discussion to team games, like every card is a go because every team card has some sort of use in team games. Even
yeah.
the team two Rhino card sees use in 3v3s. So
All right, so let's go to the part where you actually are going to be super passionate about. And if you want, we can just jump into one of your games. But do you want to tell us a little bit about your Marine play that you've made famous by you, and then
that's right.
show it off?
So when the US Civ came out, I was looking at a bunch of cards, and this one really stuck out to me because Marines plus 1,000% siege attack. Yeah, I mean, it's not. Well, I mean, it is actually as good as it sounds, but it's not as really good as it sounds because 1,000% siege attack on a unit which starts off with, I don't know, 5 siege attack. It's decent, but it's not like they become mortars or anything like that. So I really wanted to make a build focus around them, right? And I think after a while, after some testing, I've come up with a build which is in use and gets lamed by a lot of US players to this day, which is basically just as your standard FF. You send 700 wood, you get out 3 TCs, you send Marines, and the XP from your TCs gives you enough XP to send your next shipment, which is going to be, I forget what it's called, but call purpose Minutemen, right?
The
So
one of the federal
yeah,
cards.
one of the federal upgrades. So if so, coupled with how you can sometimes send your first batch of levy your first batch of Minutemen early on, you can time it so that you have around 30 Marines at sub 9 minutes. And
Really? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What would a build like that look for? I mean, obviously you're just levying Minutemen from the TC as quick as
Mhm.
you can. But
Right.
do you levy Minutemen right after you click up to age? Like at that 800, once you get 800 food,
You
you're
don't want to
going
do
to,
that because
because they
Minutemen
lose HP, right?
they decay to 1 HP.
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
do right after you hit age 2, you would click as fast as you can the
Now you
first
don't actually
batch.
do yeah. There's a more efficient way to do that because you
Yeah.
don't actually have to wait until you hit age 2. You can wait until you're almost up to age 2 and then send it. Now the sweet spot is something like 70% of the way up. So if
Mhm.
you send it around that time, you can send Minutemen. Use the Minutemen to win whatever Explorer fights which are going on. Maybe you've baited the Explorer into attacking your own general,
Mhm.
and it looks like they're going to win the fight, but you pop Minutemen and you get your free 45 XP. You can use those 6 Minutemen to go around the map gathering treasures and kind of make up for the cost of those Minutemen because, often on the map there's a lot of nice 150 coin treasures or whatnot, which you can't normally get with your Explorer, but you can get with your Explorer and Minutemen.
Yeah.
It's not like a loss of 300 resources because There's
Because
6 extra
it pays for
Minutemen.
itself.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
it pays for itself.
even going out to like pressure a Vil that then goes back into the TC.
Yeah.
Minutemen did get their multiplier versus Vils reduced,
Yeah.
so now they can't
For
kill
USA
Vils.
Minutemen, yeah,
Yeah.
times 0.25. So they take 4 shots from 6 Minutemen to kill a regular villager, which is enough in most situations, actually.
Wow, you have done the math. That's impressive.
I've actually used it.
Yeah, you've used it in
So
games
if
a lot.
someone just attacks you and tries to forward base against you, and you got one villager building it, you just call your Minutemen out, and they're out on the field before you've aged. Maybe not always before the opponent's aged, but you can pretty much deny any sort of forward base pressure, unless they're the French.
Did you find Minuteman companies useful?
It's paired with the Marines card. It can be good in the late game because you are limited by having called those 6 Marines every few minutes. But with this card, you can send 16 of them, right?
Got it. Do you like? I guess what I'm asking is, do you try to like? Do you crave sending this card, or it's nice if you're late game, you've sent a bunch of your key cards?
If you've got Marines in your deck, then it's good.
Okay.
If you
Okay.
haven't done a Marines build, then don't bother.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Those shadow attack, right? They get like 260 HP upon aging up and 29 attack.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I think we've covered everything. Let's jump into some gameplays.
Okay.
And yeah, lastly, I mean, we don't even need to mention it too much, but Hamiltonian Economics, there's been plenty of discussion on this. Saves, like 2,000 resources. It does require sending a card. Do you think that this is a hands down go to, or it really depends on your build order situation?
It depends on your build order, and I think in most build orders, it doesn't really find its place
Yeah.
because you need a lot of villagers to make this sort of thing worth it. It needs to be worth more than 4 villagers because you're maybe even better than 6 villagers because you're sending it and the bonus, the effect does not pay off immediately, right? You have to wait
Yeah.
for research all the techs, and until then is like a gradual build up. You send you research hunting dogs, you research steel traps, research all the upgrades. The one saving grace is, of course, that it does not increase the research time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as USC, you're already slow enough as it is. I don't think it, you know it might have its place in some obscure builds, but it's going to make you slow
I agree with that. I
because
totally agree with
700
that.
wood has more utility in
Yeah.
most situations.
So just double checking our set of things. We've covered immigrants, Merc cards, unusual cards, talked about Gatlings. We haven't talked about age ups, but we have kind of indirectly talked about all the age ups.
Right.
And there are tier lists for age ups, which I'm happy to link. I think Ozzy's done a good one on all the ones for all the ages. If people want to, talk at great length with those. Let me jump into we make a deck together, probably a marine based or whatever is your favorite strat, and then we
Right.
go through some gameplay together, and that's it.
Okay.
So let's jump into those two. So all right, so I'm gonna share the game again, and let's do it. All right, so now you're gonna help me not be a noob anymore. After this, Aizamk, I have to be a pro. So, how would you make the ideal? We'll call it. Do you want to make a marine based deck, or do you just want to make a standard
We'll
USA?
start with the standard USA
Okay.
FF deck.
So 1v1 FF.
Sure.
All right. So what would you put in it?
French immigrants for sure.
Okay.
Next one, you just see 700 coin, otherwise you're not going to be able to FF.
Okay.
700 wood.
Yep.
And you want Marines.
Marines. All right. Well, this one. Wait, this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably want Gatlings as well, but that's not essential to the Marines build because your Marines are going to be doing all the work. And really, this is all you need for your Marines strat.
Talk to
Nothing
me
else you
about
need in there.
talk
You've
to me
won the
about
game
some
by
of the other
by
cards.
the time you send 3 Gatlings. Okay, so okay, maybe you want 11 state militia in there. Maybe you want your fort in there. You want your
think
eight
of
regulars.
think of this as a deck that I can just always pick in most maps and situations. Like, what's a good, strong 1v1 versatile deck? Don't worry about water. It's fine if we don't fight water. This is just a
Yeah.
pure land deck.
For H2, perhaps you can split. You can slip in the eight militia. Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is that once you send French immigrants, most of the time you're not going to need any other sort of military for defending your FF because your villagers are practically unkillable.
Okay. Good to know.
These are the main cards you need.
So you would need Irish just for later to.
That's right. You want Irish. Bandwagon, I think
Is
you can probably.
debatable based on style, right?
Yeah, it's debatable.
It
Fortressing,
does include an upgrade for villagers, so it is like placer mines, and
yeah,
it increases the yield. So it has its value for sure, but it's interesting. It does take 350 gold, so you're not chopping the wood to get the market and the house and the upgrades at the market you want.
yeah. You want long rifles for your late
Yeah,
game. You definitely like every card needs long rifles and the advanced arsenal card in there.
yeah,
Straight from the library. Yeah. So now you have 7 cards left. Fill them in with whatever you want. Okay, maybe you want the Ulan card.
yeah. Everyone likes to put in Kovats and Ulans as
And
like
yeah,
the better Hus, because
maybe
you.
the
Yeah,
Continental Rangers as well.
Continental Rangers. Which one is that?
The one above Armand's Legion. The Marines, the Marine upgrade. Yeah, that one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Um, do you like coffee mill guns?
I did test it out in skirmish games, but I've never had the chance to actually put it in my deck and use it in a multiplayer game because that only really sees value if you're making full Gatling guns or something.
Yeah, like maybe in a team game where you're the artillery guy.
That's
Then
right.
100%. It's similar in my opinion to like case shot. Like it won't see place in 1v1, but in team, case shot is amazing.
Yeah, team brings out a lot of the unused cards.
Yeah. Increases the attack of heavy infantry, Minutemen, and the general. So this is a solid for a marine based
Yeah.
build.
But there's a continent. Yeah, I got it was the wrong card just now. Yeah, this is the card you want for your Marines.
Continental Rangers doesn't affect it affects state militia, so it's still
Yeah,
kind
so
of.
you want it for your late game.
Yeah.
But
It has a
not
place, but it's not
necessarily.
mandatory.
Yeah.
Any other cards you see as a must? Like, why don't I have this?
Um,
Maybe 2 heavy
really.
cannons? I never see people send
Sure.
this or use it.
You got all sorts of other fun stuff with the Civ, like 2 heavy cannons is old meta.
Yeah. um
You definitely want the age for conscription though, for
oh
your extra
yes.
Marines. Yeah.
And in commerce, do we need anything else or we're FFing, we're fine?
Normally with the US, you can FF and get away with FFing. You don't
Fair.
even need a TP map to FF
Should we
because you
do
always have enough XP.
should we do
You can
5 regulars or not necessary?
if it makes you feel safe, sure.
I mean, I guess I'm a little confused because now we're just. It doesn't seem like we need anything else. It seems like with 18 cards we're fine.
Yeah, you probably are fine. Because like I said, by the time you've sent Marines, by the time you sent um, 3 Gatling guns, you probably either won the game or lost the game.
Yeah, the game's kind of decided by now. Everything
Yeah.
else is sort of just here. Um, you could argue, yeah, do Spanish immigrants for some more defense or pioneers, so you could run to your opponent's base and collect their crates. Whatever you would want. Yeah. All right, this is a full, complete 1v1 deck
Right.
for
Yeah.
land. And then essentially for 1v1 water, we'll just copy this. what would you take out for doing? And obviously, we talked about this already. This is more of an anti-water deck, like you're trying to
Right.
contest the opponent's water.
Yeah. So when you're doing anti-water, you also want, because once you've won water, you want to be able to exploit water yourself. So you definitely want to put in rendering plant.
So I guess what we're gonna first do is, what do we take out? What do you think is unnecessary if we're trying to do a water-based, anti-water-based deck?
Water-based anti-water, you don't need any of those. You don't need regulars because
Okay.
that's probably you probably don't want 11 state militia either.
Okay.
This is when you're absolutely sure that your opponent is going to go water. You want to put in 2 sleeps. Okay, so I think you got enough space for your, because you need 2 sleeps and you need one what's it called again, frigate, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the very basics of building an anti-water deck: the
Yeah,
2
you want those 2
caravels and
cards. Yeah,
1 frigate.
and maybe you want one extra warship upgrade card. So
Naval
conversely,
gunners.
yeah, naval gunner sounds like it'd be good.
They don't have the hit point upgrade card, but they do
They
have the
don't.
attack
Yeah,
upgrade.
yeah. So they
Um.
don't actually have 25%, 25%. So this is actually a kind of inferior card, right, compared to the
Yeah.
advanced warships.
Um. Maybe you don't want that, and you want. Oh no, but there's the Minutemen based water gameplay, so you might still want
Correct.
this.
You might still want that. Yeah.
But you probably don't want the bank, because you're not going to have space to suddenly chop out for a bank. You're going to be
Yeah.
obsessed with gathering wood, right?
Probably, yeah.
So maybe lumber
That
mills.
might work.
Because you're
Sure.
right, it's a good 600 wood replacement.
Yeah. It's a terrible 700 wood replacement.
Okay, fair, fair. I mean, that's kind of good, because you
Yeah.
get the blockhouses. I mean, actually, if we're making a water deck, it should be kind of more full water. So we could drop this and maybe do like frontier defenses. So you get 3 outpost wagons, they transform into frontier blockhouses. Or would you think rather heavy fortifications is worth it? Or neither to
Uh,
both?
if you're up against water, I don't think you really want to be like delaying the game long enough to go to H4 or something like that.
Okay.
Uh, there are some civs which can actually go H4 and contest water, but the US eco is generally not so strong to be able to go H4 and then start contesting water. You want to be contesting water in either H2 or in H3. Probably in H3 because the FF is a lot stronger than the H2.
That's actually really helpful. Thank you. I never it is really hard actually to contest water as USA later. I mean, I guess the only other thing is a warship build time, but I don't know.
Yeah, you
I
could
don't.
put an advanced dock. Yeah, why not?
Maybe. Yeah. It is weird because in this deck you're not trying to boom on water. So
Hold on. You want to take out one card and put in rendering plant because you do need rendering
yeah.
plant.
Yeah, you do need that 25% up.
30%. Yeah.
30%, sorry. Boom. Okay.
Yeah. Done.
So this makes some sense.
That's your Andy Ward deck. Yep.
This feels a little bit better. I was like a little confused. So it's like, we're not gonna boom, but no, we are gonna boom. Okay, good. Decks are made. We have explained all of the different cards. Let's go into one of your games. You sent me 2 recordings, right?
Yeah. One of them's a loss, so we don't need to look at that one.
All right. Tell me the one that we should look at.
Look at the USA mirror because it showcases a bunch of different USA mechanics because it
Okay,
is a mirror.
got it. Let me go into my save game folder. Yep. Paste it. Awesome. I don't know if it immediately populates the game or I have to restart because I just put something in it. But it doesn't seem to register it. Okay, give me a second. I'll restart. All right, so let's see this gameplay. I'm really excited. All right, so you're playing against your opponent Sambi. Both of you are playing USA. Sambi's the what is do you know his yellow level offhand?
Uh, I'd say 1800, 1900, around
Okay,
there.
so pretty high level.
I know he was a major or lieutenant colonel, so sort of back on legacy, so a decent player. And
Got it.
also
Got it.
one of the few people to actually be sticking with the USA as well, aside from
Oh,
myself.
nice. All right, so this is
So
amongst
so
USA
he
faithful.
has decent knowledge of the Civ himself. Yeah.
Got it. And so the funny thing about this also, the map Florida is it's got a lot going on. It's got a pretty expansive water, almost 4 to 5 whales. It's got tons of herds, but all pretty spread out. So it rewards map control. And it's got good treasures and also good herdables. Almost, I think, 8 to 10. So really good. Um, do you have anything else to say about the matchup or the map?
Matchup probably heavily USA favored.
Yes.
For the longest time, people were saying that this is like the best possible matchup for the USA.
Yeah, I remember that joke. They're like, "What civ is the USA good against?" Oh, the USA.
Yeah,
All right, so let's
we
get
figured out some
into it.
builds with
Yeah.
them now. They're not as weak as they were before, but still on the lower end of the scale.
Tell me if you want to interrupt me on anything, but
Yep.
I noticed that the basic build of USA is always to collect wood for a house, either build a TP or send Spanish or send French immigrants.
Yeah,
So
most of
that's
the
gonna
time.
be pretty
You don't
standard
want a
for both.
10-10. You don't want a 10-10 or anything like that because that's too slow.
Yeah, some people
Um,
try to 12-10 into Delaware with CDBs,
mm,
but you're just idle for like a minute.
yeah.
So it's a little different. Immediately I notice he has a huge score lead, but I'm guessing that's maybe he's placing a house or something. I don't know. Score leads are awkward in this game sometimes,
Yeah.
and it jumps often. Um,
So this build,
there's
what I'm
yeah,
doing is the Chinese immigrants build. Where you said you can kind of start off with an early TP and then get 3 TPs ASAP. Um, there are 4 TPs on this map, so you can be kind of certain. I missed the path,
pass.
which is disappointing because I think I stopped to crack shot the guardian over there. But anyway, you can get at least 3 TPs on this map, especially if you're up against a USA player who you know probably won't take a TP himself. Um, yeah,
Got it.
so that was the plan here going to this. I was basically testing a new build here because I hadn't actually used the Chinese immigrants card in recent games up until this one or so.
Hmm.
Before then, it always been pure FF builds. But actually, uh, I wanted to try doing H2 builds after in one game I was playing against Chinese player, and he did this kind of H2 build, which did lose against my Marines build, but I thought it had potential. So I said, okay, let's give Chinese immigrants a try. We haven't done it in a long time. Let's see if it has any use. So this is what you're going to see in this game. Um,
So he recruited a dog, so you guys are
yeah,
just fighting it out. What I thought that was really smooth for your build was you had a 35 wood treasure, so you just had to
yeah,
chop a little bit of wood after you
yeah.
built this to build that house. So you, I think, are a little ahead on the food because you had to chop. Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah,
he's aged up already.
that is correct because I'm not sending the 3 CDB, right?
Ah, that's right. That's right. So he said 3 CDB. So even though you had the house lead, he still aged up maybe 30 seconds earlier, just to show the impact of the 3 CDB card.
Right.
Not 30 seconds, but like 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
10 to 20.
Yeah. I can't remember which one I aged up with this game, whether it was with the barracks or whether it was the 200 food, but we'll see in a while.
Yeah, so
Um,
he did Virginia, you did Delaware. Oh,
all
so
right.
that's why you could keep up with his age time. You
Yeah,
had
that's probably the
700
only
food.
reason why. Yeah, exactly. So I
And
think it probably pairs well with the Chinese immigrants card, but yet to definitively find out that is the case.
I kind of
Okay.
really like this already because you're sending Spanish to establish map control. You have 3 TPs. You matched a CDB based age up, and you're gonna have pikes out along with
Yeah.
units, whereas he's
Although
building in base. I
it
really
was
like the
somewhat helped.
start.
It was somewhat helped by having 35 wood, uh, as well as having the sheep, which helped speed up the age up a little bit.
That's true. So he's going for an FF here,
Yeah,
shipping 700 coin. He just shipped CDBs, no bank. Culpepper is
in
in
deck.
the
Yeah,
deck, yeah. So now he's only gonna collect food until his coin arrives and he gets 600 more coin.
yeah. So
You
this
on the
is pretty
other
much a
hand,
standard FF. Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm trying to do H2.
you're doing H2. You're shipping 700. You're queuing the pikes.
Yeah,
You sent. Oh, pop is limited. It won't show me what you sent. Darn it. But now you've got 6 tertio pikemen. These guys shadow tech, right? As
they
you age
do.
up,
Yeah, they're like consulate. Now
pikemen.
most of the time, these six pikemen are, as I said before, these are really good in anti-rush builds, but I don't think they're really as useful in aggressive builds, unless you're maybe up against Japan or something, where your aggressive is basically sieging things out on the map.
Oh
Because
wow, because
in the
these
mirror over
6
here,
can just snipe a whole pikeman down.
exactly. So basically, in the mirror, this strat is really not so good because you're shipping a card for an outpost and maybe an XP trickle, and that's about it. Because your minute the opponent's Minutemen are just going to be able to deny any sort of pressure from
Yeah.
your six pikemen.
So by under the 6-minute mark, Sambi here is shipping the Virginia General Assembly.
It's about to
He's
age
making
up.
a Vil. He's got a Rax down. He has
Yeah,
this, and his age up is almost there. Oh, I guess when I pause it, it doesn't show
yeah.
me that.
It's not so polished as the usual Marine build. The usual Marine build, you want to kind of send those Minutemen up a bit earlier so you can actually have them out on the map and helping your explorer gather treasures and whatnot.
Got it.
But in this case, he levied them a bit late, and because of that, his age up's going to be a little late. Because now the Minutemen are kind of an unexpected part of the build. He was using them reactively instead of actively, right? Because the active one is when
Yeah,
you want to get them out in transition and then gather treasures to make up for the resources you spent. He just called them and
because your pikes were sieging a house. Yeah, you're right.
exactly. So now
But
his
he
age
could
up's
have
a little
called them
slow.
earlier, you're saying, and
Yeah,
contested. Like, he could have tried to take this treasure, even 90 coin, and gone up to
correct.
take that 100 coin,
Yeah,
which would have made up 190 coin of the 150 coin you would have
yeah.
spent. Okay, okay. I'm seeing that. Um,
I, on the other hand, am playing strictly H2. You can see I'm sending in the Advanced Arsenal card, whatever it's called.
yeah, I noticed you did Chinese into capitalism into Spanish, and you would your Delaware, you're sending armory, you sent
Yeah,
700 wood, all by 540. That's
that's right. It
one,
gives
two,
you
three,
a
four,
lot
five,
of
6 shipments.
right. And you look at the Age One card, the
Oh
Age One
yeah,
Arsenal.
Spanish is a TP trickle as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so Chinese and Spanish pair really well together.
And plus, you're doing this sort of strat in Asian and Delaware. You have that card which gives you one extra regular for every shipment sent.
Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing the power of this now.
Uh,
Okay. Delaware kind of pairs well with those two because the Spanish immigrants give you a tower, which is the defense you need, and map control.
that's right. Okay, so building my barracks here a bit late because I know he's doing an FF. And if I'm perfectly honest here, I would say that the FF is by far the strongest USA build, especially in the mirror.
Hmm.
But just trying new stuff here.
No, it makes sense. Makes sense. I do want to highlight how it, like, excuse me, tanky the capital is. It's 5,000 HP.
Right.
Like, I don't think any building is that big other than the Agra Fort this early in the game. Like,
Yeah. Anyway, he's aging up now. Probably I haven't really watched this track from his perspective, so I don't know whether he's gotten the age up
oh, he
bonus.
just clicks up now at
Yeah.
the
Well,
6:30 mark.
6 minutes. But has he gotten the thing which makes his age up faster? Can't really tell.
No, I mean I can't tell, but it would have
Wasn't really
showed it
watching.
being queued.
Yeah. Either way, slow or fast, whichever one it is, he is aging up, and I'm just trying to put in some sort of pressure because I'm stuck in age 2 for the time being. I do have Stagecoach TP, 3 TPs. That's max here.
You're just throwing down house. You're
Yep.
mostly collecting food and wood.
Yeah, just abusing the best unit that the US has to offer in H2, which is, of course, the state militia. Going forward, you know.
So that's his 5 regulars, his Minutemen. They've gone down to half HP. You're gonna poke in.
Yep.
But for the 7-minute mark, having only 5 state militia is a little on the less unit side. So you're not
Yeah.
all in pushing here. You're kind of
Right.
just poking a little.
Yeah, because I have 3 TPs up. If you're investing to 3 TP Stagecoach, you're not generally going to be able to have a
A
large
ton of
army out so
stuff.
early. Yeah, especially
Yeah.
since you're supposed to send the armory card because I know he's aging out. My plan here is more for the long game.
Yeah, and you've queued up every. Wow, okay. So at the 7-minute mark, you've queued up all the stuff. This is so I remember watching on stream that you were playing a team game and you kind of
Yep.
did a really nice Springfield Armory long rifle timing. I think you were playing with Ozzy and Esty Pesty,
Right.
and you kind of made a bunch of state militia and you pushed at the right time. So I'm kind of seeing how you do that now. Essentially, you just go into this sort of 3-card build, and then you go into this. What do you use the coin for? Like, what's the point of capitalism?
Right. So capitalism is an in-between card, and what's useful for is actually, well, I mean, you're not going to use a coin most of the time, but
Mm-hmm.
you can use it. There's a few ways you can use it. So the follow-up after capitalism is either Spanish immigrants or sending Irish immigrants. Irish
Mm-hmm.
immigrants for villagers, and you don't have to invest any resources. Spanish immigrants, you temporarily lose 300 food, but you do get that XP trickle and the outpost. Um, so coin, if you send Irish immigrants, then you want to use that coin to just trade at the market for wood for your upgrades and for your units and for your barracks, whatever. Because that coin is not going to be as useful as you don't actually have a use for it because you don't want to save up to ship pikemen or anything. But in this case, I have actually used the coin for the Spanish pikemen, just send them out and try to do a bit of damage. But you can see, as you can see, in the USAM area, that's not so effective.
Yeah. I also see what you meant earlier in the video with the food costs of US units
Yeah.
being really low. Like state militia is only 50 food. And their regular is only 55. So it's pretty low
It's as a
cost.
proportion of the total cost, yeah. So normally you'd have 75-25,
Yeah.
you get 55-50 regulars. I mean, so yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's
Anyway,
keep
gearing
going.
up for the long game here.
He lets you siege. He doesn't have skirm units, so you can't kite this.
He can probably kite them because state militia are only 13 range.
Oh yeah, you
In
haven't
fact,
set long
regulars outrange
rifles.
them. So now my 8 state militia come in, and state militia are only really good when you have a mass of them.
Yeah.
So just going in, killing villagers, or trying to kill villagers, but they do have the French immigrants on
Oh,
them,
he
so
has to
it's
call
really, really quite
Gatlings in
painful.
defense.
Yeah, so he's sent Gatlings, he's defending, and what he's doing isn't really the fast Marines build, but I think Marines are part of the plan. They're going to come at some point, as you'll see later on.
Okay, so
And
it's about 9 minutes. You've sent, the cards you need to send in H2. None
yeah,
of the federal cards. And he, on the other hand, Yep, he just shipped Marines. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
So Marines is a card you want to pair together with three TCs because you got three TC. Well, if you think about it, Minutemen aren't something you can easily mass in most situations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just have to keep on being actively looking at town center, looking at the timer, and just calling them every single time. So that's where
Yeah.
this card comes in, right? This call pair Minutemen, because that gives you 6 Marines for every town center you have. So in the usual Marines build, you would have three town centers. You'd have a total of 12 Marine calls from your levies, and then you'd have the 18 Marines from your three TCs. So you have 30 Marines coming at around 9 minutes. But he's opted for a slower build here, opting to send three Gatlings first, and I think he even skipped 700 wood.
So he just shipped Culpepper. He's already shipped Marines as a card. He
Yeah.
shipped even 54th Massachusetts Volunteers. By the way, do you like this card? It's okay. What do you think?
Well, as the USA, when you're doing an FF, you don't FF with two barracks or anything. You FF with one military production facility.
Mm-hmm.
So the good thing about this is it lets you keep on training units. Of course, it does have some decent value in there. As you're setting 400, because the military units, you get 9 military units, which is about as much as you'd expect from an H3 card. Maybe one less, because four of those or five of those are state militia.
Mm-hmm.
But 400 food for two upgrades in one go is pretty good value. But as I said, it's more of something which lets you keep training units while not having to idle your multi-production facility on actually researching upgrades, because that's two upgrades you don't have to research anymore.
And what I
It's
like about this
kind of a tempo
is,
card. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't slow down your tempo, and it gives you units, and it gives you upgrades for them. The Marine cards only boost Marines.
Yeah.
So I noticed that you kind of he sent it first, so it's kind of a dead card. But then once he has three TCs up, Culpepper makes it amazing.
Yeah, it's not entirely a dead card because you have your 6 minute men sent early on in the game, and then you can probably already send another 6 minute men uh,
Right as it
at the time
arrives, so they
right
don't
as
lose hit
realized.
points. Okay,
And men are really cheap. So yeah,
fair. Okay, okay.
yeah, you can see he's pushing now, and you kind of see how my army is mostly ill-equipped to deal with this because Marines, they aren't heavy infantry, they're really nothing except infantry. If you hover over the tags, they've got the infantry
Oh
tag, and
wow, they
yeah,
have ranged. Wow, and land military.
that's right. So they're not exactly a unit you can counter with anything really. And I can see there's like one or two shots, boom, outpost goes down, boom, barracks goes
Because
down.
there's 55 siege.
Correct. And with three Gatlings behind them, you don't usually have an answer. Well, over here, he's kind of messed up a bit by leaving two Gatlings behind in base.
Yeah, I
Maybe
noticed
he's
that. I was
trying
like, "Where's
to,
his other two Gatlings?" And they're over
yes.
here.
So that was a mistake by him, allowing me to kind of pick up one Gatling soon. Um,
Oh, and you got the pikes charging, and you have the state
Pike's
militia
Charlie,
shooting at it.
typical pikeman, picky going in.
He
Oh,
throws down the
yeah,
flag,
yeah,
makes the Marines even better. 60 siege with the flag. Ooh.
that's right. So the only reason I could even push in and try to defend against these Marines and the Gatling guns was because the Gatling guns were like, there's only one of them. With three Gatling guns in there, I wouldn't even bother.
Now you're pulling in Vils?
Yeah, because Marines get that times 0.25 against Vil, so they're trying to tank here. So
Oh, okay.
right, so you go back after that because Gatling guns are strong. And now I'm thinking, okay, how do I actually defend against this? Because I don't really have much of an answer.
Because you're still H2.
I'm still H2.
He did burn down one of your TPs with his Marines.
Yeah,
He
and
hasn't taken TPs, though.
he's taking out most of my military production facilities. I'm building up a barracks behind there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually go for the barracks. He makes the big mistake, which is siege my shipment point. Yeah. So he's trying to get that down, but you can see I'm actually shipping, sending out villagers there.
Oh, you got
Um,
Delaware Blues. You send out all your
Delaware
bills.
Blues.
You send
Yeah.
all of that here.
Yeah,
Use the
everything's coming out. Just want to target down the Gatling guns first. Yeah, and the villagers there really just to tank against the Marines.
boom, and then the Delaware. Wow, this is beautiful.
So that's, I don't know, it was 8 or 9 regulars coming out there. It's a really good shipment for prolonged H2 play.
Yeah, it was 10 actually.
Was
Very
it? Yeah,
nice.
it was
Or maybe
10
it was
now.
9 actually,
Might have
because
been
yeah, it's
9.
10
Yeah.
now and it updates. But good job. And then you throw down your flag.
Yeah.
So one of the weaknesses of the Marines game plan is, I mean, they can't kill vills. So
Yeah, but they can kill pretty much everything else.
yeah.
Buildings, you saw just 1, 2 shots, 2 shot barracks. He could have gone in there and just started sieging houses and stuff like that.
What should he have done then? Not pushed your TC? He should have just pushed this and
He
this.
should have pushed earlier on with the 3 Gatlings as well as the Marines.
Yeah, he didn't pair up his Gatlings together.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
was a key mistake made this game.
He's using his vills to tank here a little bit, and they have the CDB range resist, so 20%. So it helps
Yeah,
a
I think
little, but you're
yeah,
crushing it.
that's right. Yeah, because you got the flag out in the middle of the map, and because Marines you can't really mass them after the initial mass because you got that initial 30, and after that you just have to wait 2 minutes.
Yeah. He gets state militia. He he's taking a TP now because he's noticed the stagecoach.
Yeah, that used to be my TP, so he sieged it down earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He has veteran because he sent the 54th.
yeah. So I'm just staying H2 because he's got 3 TCs, and if I age up myself, then that kind of gives him time to just to mass out, get more villagers. His villagers can gather resources, and
Oh,
I'm
nice. You
not
contest the
feeling like
TP
yeah.
without
So just
taking too much
contesting my TP.
losses.
Yeah, to go back, I got long rifles in. The one thing with the USA FF build is that you don't have the leeway to start sending those H2 cards, like your advanced arsenal thing and your range
Yeah.
card.
So your troops are quote unquote better, but his are veteran.
They
But
are,
you have more range, so you kind of win that.
my troops have the potential to be better. Yeah. So state
Oh,
militia.
and you have all the arsenal upgrades, so technically you outclass his army.
Yeah.
1 age
Um,
behind.
correct. So you can see I'm still down 2,000 score or whatever it is. Just still trying
Yeah.
to put pressure.
I noticed you've pressured this guy so much that I mean, he's building a Gatling. He has a factory, but he
Yeah.
hasn't been able to send like Russian American company or 1,000 wood or a fort. He hasn't been able to take any map control or boom himself, other than 3 TCs.
Yeah.
But he's not even making vills off 3 TCs.
I don't think you can really afford to make bills off 3Ds in this situation.
Yeah,
You
well, that's what I mean.
probably
You've put so much pressure that
right.
you're limiting him, which is really well played.
So Gatlings are something that in the US mirror is very difficult for you to deal with because you don't have any sort of you don't have longbowmen or anything like that which can act as your
Yeah.
pseudo anti-artillery. You're stuck just
Did you
making things.
crowd the artillery foundering hoping to catch a Gatling,
I
essentially?
was hoping to catch them, yeah, because I saw the artillery find. I was like, okay, he's actually going to produce them now, and I know how much trouble I have with those. So I go in,
But then you pull
try,
out at the right time so you don't lose
yeah,
everything.
that's right. And then I try coming back in again, because I always like to be active in my units, doing stuff around the map. You can see there's stuff happening in several locations, off to the right and off to the left. um, Yeah, so those off to the right trying to kill some villagers, those off to the left also trying to do the same thing, maybe siege down a house or something, because I do have
You're gonna
pikemen
kill
there.
a bunch here. They're all
Yep,
running for their life. You're
they
the
have
ones
like
in the back.
5.22 speed. These are yeah. So this is a big enough mess to start killing the villagers, even though they've got the French immigrants range resist on them.
He has one Gatling with 57 HP, but no, you couldn't. That would have hurt to put it in
Yeah, it would have
scatter.
hurt. Yeah.
Over here, you've just pushed in 2. So right now, Sambi's at 36 vills, and you're at, let's see, 39 vills. You've done so much damage, even though he's at 3 TCs.
Yeah, I might have sent Irish immigrants at this point in the game as well. I can't remember. But,
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, not at this point, but we don't know. But
the
yeah.
thing is, yeah. So you think about it, like the USA has these sort of big buttons, but they're like big cards. These cards just get better over
Okay.
time. So even the German card is kind of like a big button card because it's over time you can get more mills and you can get even better. Anyway, just keep on raiding here. I don't want him to settle in too much.
You retook this TP at some point.
I did, yeah, because TPs are free for me, right?
Oh, fair.
Just keep on levying them.
So not such a big consideration. And you're
Yeah.
also sieging in the back. You're keeping him off a lot of hunt. Like you're really wrecking his day. His 3 TCs seem kind of silly.
That's right.
He's not even queuing vills.
Yeah.
He barely has food.
But now the one thing you want to notice is that my army is mainly militia, right? State militia.
Yeah.
And I did talk about this before, but the USA has a weakness in that they don't really have really good H2 anti-cav options, at least when it's cav skirmish sort of thing against you. So here I am going in, just keep going in. I guess it's not yet at this point, but remember, it does have the Kovacs Legion. I think, is it Kovacs Legion, the Ulan card?
Pulaski's.
Pulaski's Legion, yeah.
Oh, and that's
So
pretty
huge. That is
huge.
available to him. And that's the one thing I'm always like keeping an eye out for, like waiting to see, because
Oh, when you build Huss to take out some Gatlings. I missed this. And you pull all your state militia from the other side in. So you're doing great. But something big is coming.
Scores are evened out. Yeah. Still
now
pressure.
You're a little ahead.
Yeah, a little ahead. Going in again, trying to kill villagers. Just being active with my army because you have speed.
Oh wait, but this game is almost over. You have 47 vills to 31, and 30 are idle.
He has a factory as well. You have to remember.
Oh, fair. That's 12
I do have 2
vills.
TPs against 1 as well. But yeah, I'm trying to do damage.
He's just waiting on this, but it's rough.
Yeah. Once that card comes in, that's like might be a bit tough for me to get out of, because there's practically no anti-cav in there.
You had Huss, but they all died? Oh no, they're all back here.
They're all back there, and even if they were in there, I think the Ulan would have crushed them either way. I need at least 10 Huss in there to be able to contest this. Yeah, so here, ranged infantry against cavalry, move to the trees and hope that DE pathing helps you out a bit. It did help out a bit, I think.
A little bit, but yeah, no, it's a total slaughter.
Total slaughter, yeah. I killed maybe two or 3 Ulans, and that was about it. Maybe just 1.
Looking back at this, should you have mixed in a bunch of regulars or gone carbine, or all of that would have been not
I don't think
as effective?
I don't think either of those have been so effective. Maybe a better thing to do would be to split up my regulars, my militia up a bit more, rather than having them all in one mass like that.
So he keeps having to pay, like he's already paid like 400 wood now just to build some TPs, whereas you've just been levying them for free. You've stopped levying them for Minutemen, I assume, but I don't see any Minutemen, so I guess you just didn't worry about levying after a while.
Yeah.
But this Ulan push is a little scary.
It is a little scary, but he's pushing into 4 military production facilities there.
Yeah, he should be running away.
And yeah, here we go.
Oh, but he's sniping some Huss. Double flag placement.
Yeah.
Oh, you can put flags so close together. I did not know.
Yeah, so long as they're not close to your TC or the opponent's TC, starting TC. So yeah,
All right,
these
so
come
he's
out.
overrun here.
Yeah, he's overextended.
And you have a way
And
better eco, 15 vils, but he does have a factory, so that's maybe 10. This is fair.
yep.
Oh, he's been
And
operating off of 1 racks this whole time.
yeah, you don't really need because he also had a Gatling gun, the artillery founder as well. So
Oh, fair, fair.
yeah,
He's finally towered this hunt, so now he has access to food again. Oh, and now he's sending the blockhouse wagons at the 21-minute mark. So you've pressured him a lot to make this shipment not so viable.
yeah. So he's only got 1 or 2 hunts left,
Yeah,
and I'm
and this
still
one's
pressuring.
really exposed.
Yeah,
So
because once the Ulans are the way, you don't really have any, at least in the USA mirror, you don't have any cap to worry about. Your state militia can pretty much just roam free, unless your opponent is of course making hustle of his own. Because the only way he can actually get back the Zulan is by building a fort, and he hadn't actually sent the fort card at this point. Um, so I knew there wasn't going to be any cab presence, and my state militia were faster as well. So still going around abusing them to the maximum. In the meantime, I'm trying to age up myself because the worst is over. Maybe not aging up just yet. Oh, I am aging up. Yet. The storm is over. His power shipments are gone. 3 Gatling guns gone. Marines long since defeated. Ulans nothing to worry about. So yeah, the levy being called here just because I could call it. I used it to build that native trading post, native settlement, and yeah, more Gatling guns, which I can't really push into. But I do have the extra range. I can kite back and just stay out of range of those Gatling guns. So by this time, Springfield Armory has researched every single possible upgrade.
I was gonna mention that at 7 minutes you sent it by 21 minutes with 2 armories. It's gone. It's done.
Yeah,
These
it's
guys are
really
fully
slow.
buffed. So you have
Yeah,
162 HP, 16 attack with 17 range. Whereas his guys are veteran state militia with less HP, same range, same attack.
yeah. I mean, the
So,
HP is kind of variable because you need that
oh,
depending on.
that's right, that's right,
Yeah,
that's right. Let's look at a regular then. 180
yeah.
HP, 30 attack, 14 range. And do you have a regular here? You should. One regular. Come on. Oh, no. Oh, you do. 165 to 180 and 28
Yeah,
attack. So you're pretty close to a Vet Musk with all the
yeah.
arsenal ups.
And once the upgrades come in, they're going to be pretty good themselves as well. Yeah, even
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
within 15 HP and 2 attack, but once you
yep,
get to Vet,
yep. You can kind of think of the armory card as like
early
all the
Vet.
three, yeah, early vet cards.
So now you have your own 3 Gatlings that pop. You throw in
Yep,
Husks from all sides. Ooh, and this is slaughter.
yeah. The nice thing about Gatlings, by the way, in general, is that they just deploy and undeploy very fast. So you can actually use them as anti-artillery. Even if it's a Falconet sieging your town center, you can just pop out your Gatlings without any fear for the Falconet. Especially the Falconet has just shot the town center, shot something else because they don't fire continuously. But your Gatlings, they pop out, they start firing straight away, and you know they do pretty good damage. Yeah, at this point in the game, I know I'm pretty far ahead because now we're in the same age. My units are definitely better because I got the armory and he hasn't been able to slit them into his build. Gatling is going in, doing raids everywhere, and here I see he's got a duck up,
Yep,
right?
he's fish booming and he's
Even
making a
war.
frigate.
Yeah, so I just do standard anti-war stuff.
So you do your own dock. Let me slow it down again. So you do your own dock, You've won a lot of fights now, and your
Yeah,
units are way better than his because of
yeah, just taking map control at this point, and it's all still being active with my fast militia. So town center on the left hand side, denying
Oh,
him
and you
in
got
behind
that,
there.
and you got a fort. Wow.
Yeah,
So you made Russian American Company totally dead for him at this point.
correct. Yeah, just pushing on all sides here.
Congress frigate. Oh no, it's called Congress.
Yeah, being able to trade in canoes because I did get the native trading post as well. Um,
Yep. You sent a bunch of
and here I'm
stuff.
thinking, what do I send? I say, okay, I've got German immigrants in there. Why not? So, so that's next up in this big grand plan, because hunts are almost out. There are hunts on his side of the map, but hunts on my side of the map are pretty much out.
You already sent your own Russian American Company, but it's still active for you because you're still hunting a little bit.
Yeah,
Nice. Okay. Okay. Yep. You send a ton of vills over. Oh, and you're still levying pikemen.
yeah. In this case, because I wanted to snare the villagers, keep them there, because I saw his villagers trying to gather there. So even on Legacy, I'd sometimes just send Minutemen from forward town centers to raid villagers. In this case, it's just gonna be pikemen coming out to scare the villagers away. Because you could, of course, wait for your fort to train units, but that doesn't have as much immediate effect as some sort of levy.
Yeah.
You're just sieging down the capital. Um,
Another thing people were talking about is state militia have a decent amount of siege for being kind of like a cheap skirm unit.
yeah, they've got you can pretty much just spam state militia in a lot of situations, and they're an all-purpose unit. They even work well as anti-cav to some extent because they're fast enough.
Yeah, the speed makes them kind of ridiculous versus cav.
Yep.
Only I've seen units like Ulan's or Kovat's Legion being very successful versus them because either they're very high HP cav or very attack,
Yep.
high cav. So you're going crazy hunting over here at
Yeah.
1.09.
Although of course hunts are almost out, and so decide to transition to mills, and that's where
German
I get my free
immigrants.
10 villagers. Not free, but almost free.
Yeah. Have you sent it in yet? Oh no, this is easy. Oh, you're sending it. The 30-minute German immigrant card.
Yeah, it's decent. There's an extra 10 villagers, 10% boost to your eco.
You guys are fighting on water a little bit, but no crazy. He did do what you were talking about, which is he sent the outpost wagons from the capital.
Yeah.
So pretty nice for water play there.
Yeah. And game is almost over. I'm up 5k score. He can't really gather from anywhere, and I'm in his base.
Killing his dudes. Um, you still use Huss, but they only get one upgrade. Sadly,
Yep.
Sam be sad. You have
And
89 vills to 67, and it's a GG.
yep. Now that really showcased a bunch of the things that the US has available to offer.
Yeah, no, this was a really good game. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah. I think strictly speaking, I have been testing out colonial. Nope, not colonial. We don't say that word. Commerce age.
Commerce Age.
US play, and I think it sees some use in matchups where the FF doesn't work so well. So, for example, if you're up against Swedes, then it doesn't work very well because they're like a boomy civ, and they can just full boom while you're out going up to the third age.
Hmm.
Um, so actually, in the US mirror, you want to do some sort of FF based gameplay. Uh, my final decision on that. But you know, Commerce Age played this have its uses here. You saw here that it did have some limited success. But at the same time, if he had brought along all his Gatling guns to the fight, then it would have been very difficult for me to contest his
That
Marine.
was a very scary timing of his, and he
Yeah,
could have done more, I feel.
yeah,
So I
definitely.
definitely see that. He could have burned down this racks and this house instead of be under your TC. And he could
Yep,
have had 3 Gatlings here so you couldn't come in and snipe one. So
yep,
yeah, no, I definitely see that. That was a big misplay on his part. You definitely edged it out really well though with all of your, even though he had a bunch of Gatlings, you surrounded him really well here under the TC, you called the right cards, you overtook water, kind of. I mean, it was a half-half, but he's, garrisoned his boats around towers and docks and you're freely
yep.
fishing.
It was a close game. But it's also a tough game to play from the H2 side. So if you want to play the US the easy way, just go Marines. And for
Yeah.
you hard way, you can try some H2 stuff with Delaware.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing that. Delaware, some people say also the Pennsylvania church timings. There's some options, but it is tougher. All right. Well, this was really amazing, Aizamk. Thank you for such a good, long, strong overview of
Yeah,
everything. Um, do you
thanks
have
for
any
having
closing
me.
thoughts on any cards, any build orders, or any age ups?
Were there questions for me? I think we kind
Oh
of skipped
yes. Let me see. I think we've probably covered a bunch of them, but let's see if there's any left.
Okay.
Um. Ah, one of them's really funny. Let's go into questions now. Can you share your favorite toxic FF build? I think you've
Marines?
definitely done that with us. Have you found a place for carbine cavalry in US
No.
builds?
Get
No,
them out. Don't train them.
don't train them.
I've,
Uh,
I've I've tried to use them in some prolonged H2 strats, but the card is just too expensive to be of any use.
got
Like
it.
even the H3 age out, you know, there's one similar to the Delaware card where you get one regular for every shipment sent. You could go prolonged H2, then age up, and then send the card.
And you
I'm
get a
not sure
bunch
what.
of carbines. Yeah.
Yeah, you get one but it costs 500 wood.
Oh,
So you could
the card cost. Ugh, that's annoying.
500 wood, which gives you one carbine cab for every
Shipment.
shipment sent so far. So you can maybe get 12 of them for 500 wood. But even so, that's pretty bad value for an H3 card.
Yeah. Um. Somebody. Well, I asked when to do Delaware age up, but I think you covered that really well. um. And
Yeah,
this, it's
I
really
think
good to match someone else's,
age up time
CDB
when you're
age up
doing something
timing.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Which civ is considered the best counter to USA? That's actually a really good question. Do you see that one civ out there just constantly crushes USA?
I've had I've had trouble fighting against India as USA. Um,
Whoa. Okay, I
yeah,
did not expect that. I expected like maybe Brits or Sweden because of their Musk or their boom timings. But
yeah. Because Gatling guns are basically the core of your H3 push, whether it's a regular FF or a Marine FF. Uh, you know, the Gatling guns. Once the Gatling guns are taken out, your H3 push really loses its oomph.
mhm.
Um, but India, they get those siege elephants, and those siege elephants can also start preventing you from putting your fort up, putting your town centers up. Um, I really have trouble with the USA fighting against siege elephants, and you know, India is also India, so there's
Yeah. It is as they say, it's not OP in any one way, but all around it's a very strong civ.
yeah.
Um, let me place some of the counter arguments I hear about this matchup because I've seen this matchup a lot.
Okay,
I've one thing I've seen. I actually saw. I think it was you and Don Artie who played a bunch of America India games back to
yeah,
back in one of the Twitch streams. But what's stopping you from just making a ton of skirmishers with a few regulars or few anti-cav? Because India doesn't have Hussar, and just constantly like crushing the Indian army, or does state militia not fare well in this?
Uh, okay, so the way, because I'm thinking more about the games to play against has as India,
Okay, okay.
because that's where uh, you have to kind of play against Gurkha masses,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they do outrange most of your units. You're not going to be training sharpshooters. They
Mm-hmm.
do outrange your state militia. They do outrange your regulars, and you don't really have any kind of strong cav to kind of push in and contest those groups.
Oh, I see your point.
Plus,
So
your state militia are good, but they don't really hold up to a Mahout mass, just like most skirmisher units, to be honest.
got it. So for India, you recommend them to do like a semi FF with, sending distributivism, maybe 300 export. But
Some
then
sort of
after,
shiny effect as well against the USA, yeah.
yeah, but then after that, get to three, get to sea jellies, get to Urami and Mahouts, and have your Gurkha masses, and then it's just awesome. You're saying,
Very difficult. But I mean, the USA does have a strong state militia late game, but you need to survive the middle game first, because your
yeah,
eco can be so strong if you're going for some sort of marine build, etc., etc.
okay, okay, good point. Um, how? Okay, let me ask the other ones here. How good is the cav in practice for US and shipments, which allow you to train special? Oh, he's talking about, um, he's talking about like the dragoons. We covered it a bit, Pulaski's region and Kovat's region, and
Yeah,
training them from forts. Do you see that more as like a team game or a fun game build? Because you can't reliably, like I've trained Hussar before in a 1v1 like Magyars, but do
yeah.
you see that come up often?
Well, you need to have the flag there for them to, because you're just training them from one military production facility, and they train really slow. Maybe at best to two if you build the second fort with your general. But in most
Mm-hmm.
cases, you won't get to do that. They're more of a power spike shipment, and once they're gone, then they're gone. But they do see some use in like if you have belonged to H3 and you go into H4 because of how they shadow tech.
Okay.
Yep, because the shadow tech is really useful, even with the Spanish immigrant pikemen, because you could you know age up to 3 and you've already got 18 pikemen weight ready, that sort of stuff. Maybe not 18, but 12 at the very least.
Okay. All right. No, but that's true. That's true. The flag definitely helps. And then there's two other quick questions. Give me 1 second. All right. So some of the other questions are, what's jokes aside, what's the favorable matchup for the USA? Which other non-USA Civ do you think USA has a strong chance against?
I think the USA pretty much killed Sweden.
Really? Okay. I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised by this. Tell me.
Yeah. Well, you do have there's more to do with how the state militia trade extremely cost effectively against the one unit which most Sweden players make, which is the Galleon, right?
Got it. Okay.
So, because you have 8 of them, you can. I mean, basically, the plan is you just go. Um, well, okay, so the few variants are tried as the anti-Sweden strat. Now, one was the Marines build, which didn't go too well uh, compared to some of the recent builds, because that's where you basically send the early 6 minute men, and you also use them to contest the villagers which are on the map trying to build torps. Um, the more recent one is the one where you send the Spanish immigrants as your card in transition, and you can use the 6 spikes to start sieging down the torps, as well as ship 7 wood straight after aging up, and then ship 8 state militia after that. So the 700 wood basically goes into funding your state militia production, and the 8 state militia is more for of a timing. And it's very unlikely that the opponent's going to have that many Huss out to be able to contest your 6 pikemen plus state militia plus possibly 6 more pikemen and the flag. Because if your opponent's like, the nice thing about the US is that if you ever are in a position where you need to retreat, you can usually retreat to a place which gives you plus 10% attack.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. And you can retreat next to a tower, which can call 2 different types of units then
Yeah,
with Spanish
and
immigrants.
yeah, and honestly, leather cannons, they pretty much just tickle the state militia.
That's
High
true too.
HP and just run around and do damage, no issues.
That's
When you
true.
can get large enough mass.
Um, are regular state militia Gatling guns the best unit comp for the USA, or is there something else?
Probably you want to go infantry units plus Gatling guns in most situations.
Okay,
Uh, some sort of infantry unit, and that's mainly due to how they have strong infantry units because of all the advanced arsenal Springfield Armory cards.
got it.
Text, yeah.
You already covered this question, but I'll ask it and then tell you, the recording what you've said, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself. But can US have decent water play, something close to ports or Brits? It seems that, as you said, they don't have any strong off the gate boom cards like schooners, so they're more of like a H2 H3 take over water or contest water civ
Yeah,
versus a pure let's do water civ.
yeah. It
Um,
hasn't been explored so much. I know that quite a few top players, water players, were experimenting with water builds in the early stage of the game, but it honestly hasn't had very good results.
Fair. And then 2 questions left.
Yep.
Best immigrant and Legion cards. Um, if you just want to list maybe the top 2 in each, the top 2 immigrant cards, the top
Top
2.
2 immigrant cards. Well, French top,
Yeah.
and then Irish. I'd say, yeah, second.
Okay. And for the legions,
Legions, Ulan.
Ulan.
Yep. And then the Death Hussars.
Yep. Okay. Ulan and Kovats. USA
Yep.
lacks good calves, so it makes sense. And then where the place you'll know who this question is from. Where the place for outlaws in the American build orders?
Um, we just want to have fun, I guess. And there are some of those days where you just want to just do something different.
Fair.
Yeah,
But in general,
I'll use them in my next streams. You'll see them because I'm doing Age 2 play again, so we'll see what stuff I can come up with.
I'll send you some of the recordings of some of my best games with them, just so you can
Sure.
see what I try to do, and then maybe you can take that and make it way better.
Sounds good.
But
Sounds good. Yeah.
thank you so much, Aizamk. This was very well appreciated and well received. We love to do these kind of things like Pro2Casuals for the more, casual player, just the newer player, because this game should be fun for all. And we really believe that in the Royal Clan. So thank you for doing it with us. And we'll link your Twitch in the video, and I'd encourage everyone to check out Aizamk. He's a great player and also a very friendly, happy guy. So awesome.
Okay.
Unless you have anything else to say, we'll bid adieu.
Something else? I'll just keep experimenting the US and see if we can't make this Civ great.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.